ANTA posters are easily identifiable and great examples of Australian design, still displayed in places around the globe to this day. In 1929, the Australian National Tourism Association was established, with the goal to attract people from around the world to visit and live in Australia. A part of this meant that the ANTA published a collection of travel posters designed by a range of designers. These posters were made to promote Australia as an admirable travel destination. These posters were displayed in their offices abroad and on populated locations such as train carriages in places such as London and San Francisco throughout the 1930s, 40s and 50s. These posters shaped the way Australia's politics, society and culture was and is viewed, and continue to influence the way it is portrayed to this day. Multiple designers were a part of this movement and campaign. One of those designers was the infamous Gert Sellheim, designer of the Qantas logo. His full name was Gert Hugo Emanuel Sellheim. He was born on the 31st of December 1901 in Estonia to his parents Bruno and Helene, both who were of German descent. He studied architecture in Berlin at university level before arriving in Fremantle, Western Australia in 1926. Sellheim's qualifications were not recognised in Australia until 3 years later. In those 3 years, Sellheim worked on farms. Once registered, he worked as an architect for the University of Western Australia until 1931, when he moved to Melbourne and focused on design work, in particular with the ANTA, for which he created his most famous design, a poster labelled Australia Surf Club, as well as other well-known posters. Australia Surf Club was a coloured lithograph with use of Sellheim's dynamic treatment of colour. This use of colour enabled Sellheim to uphold the best trends in modern design. So, modern design, what is it? Modern design was a change from realism. It rejected ornamental approaches and followed the idea that form follows function, meaning that the function of a design must be fulfilled before the form. The ANTA followed these design principles throughout all their posters and advertising to make their audience view Australia as modern. These designs were created in the late 30s and early 40s. Australia was in a state of depression. Many people were left unemployed after the Wall Street stock crash a few years beforehand. Australia had a population of 7 million during these times. The country was trying to get people to come to Australia to improve and assist it to become what it once was. Times were changing, advancements were being made, and machinery was becoming more efficient and effective. Sellheim's work captured the desirable beachy holiday parts of Australia. He included the Sydney Harbour Bridge and animals such as kangaroos to represent Australia. Sellheim's works heavily influenced the way Australia was and is perceived, particularly by English and American people, and pushed the idea of Australia being a sunny beachside leisurely location 24/7, a lifestyle that was becoming more and more sought after. Sellheim was one of Australia's most influential modernist designers. Modernism is seen in Gert Sellheim's works through the way his designs moved Australia forward. His use of fragmented shapes and colours were representative of the modernist style. His crisp and sleek lines and shapes with the use of primary colours were representative of modernism, modernity, and modernization. In his artwork for sun and surf, you can see this, and it is a great example. The yellows, reds, and blues are all primary colours, and the use of a simple font for the word Australia also reflects a modernist look. The same goes for the colours and fonts used in his other poster, Australia Surf Club. The vivid blue and reds, along with a combination of text and image in his poster, show that Sellheim made use of a lithographic printing process. Sellheim's posters promote modernist design and the ideals of modernism by not including anything in the design that doesn't serve a purpose, but only including sleek shapes and lines that serve as a purpose. Sellheim also surprisingly was inclusive of Aboriginal culture in his artwork, which at the time this would have been good design for social change. However, now looking back at the way he did it, it was highly inappropriate, as it seems to be done with a mocking tone. An Aboriginal person should have been given the opportunity to create art for this purpose. It did not include Aboriginal people in Australia's new depicted narrative, but instead used their art and culture as entertainment. Sellheim's posters were cutting edge for their time. They impacted the way in which Australia is and was seen by outsiders, particularly Europeans. His posters encouraged the notion that Australia was all beaches, golden tan skin, perfect sand, perfect weather, and perfect bodies. Although he did depict other scenes in his work, those most popular were the ones in the sun, sand, and water. These same three elements are still heavily used in promotional material for Australia in 2022. However, now other aspects of Australia, such as street art, diversity, and wineries, are shown. This broadens people's views of Australia. As shown in Australia's tourism's new campaign, Don't Go Small, Go Australia. This campaign is similar to the ANTA posters in a way that they have both been created post-depression. The ANTA posters were created in post-war periods, and the new $40 million campaign Don't Go Small, Go Australia clip has been created post-COVID. Both campaigns promote very similar stereotypes of Australia: beaches, kangaroos, koalas, and sunny days. But despite these similarities, they both encompass different design aspects and follow different design principles. Unlike the posters, the new campaign includes ornamental features and does not believe that less is more like the modernist designers did. Therefore, the campaigns are quite different. However, modern design hasn't gone anywhere. German designer by the name of Liam Trenor follows modernist principles and is inspired by Gert Sellheim. However, unlike Gert, he only uses natural colors in his designs. His designs follow the principle that less is more and that form follows function. This is clear in these two images of his designs.